Hey friends, welcome back to Bookcast. I'm Jenny, and as always, I'm here with my partner in growth, Alex. Now, if you're just joining us, go check out our earlier episodes. In episode 1, we unpacked habit 1, be proactive. And in episode 2, we explored habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Both of those really laid the foundation for what we're talking about today. Habit 3, put first things first. Alex, I feel like this is the one where things start getting real practical, right?
Exactly. Habit 3 is where vision meets execution. Covey calls it the habit of personal management. Not time management in the traditional sense, but priority management. It's about organizing your life around what truly matters, not just what's urgent.
Oof, that hits already. I feel like I'm always stuck in the cycle of chasing what's urgent. Emails, messages, deadlines, even when they're not that important.
That's the exact problem Covey addresses. He says most of us spend our time reacting to the loudest things, but effectiveness comes from focusing on the most meaningful things. He introduces this powerful tool, the time management matrix, also called the Eisenhower matrix.
I think I've seen that before. Is that the 4 quadrants thing?
Yep, let's break it down. There are 4 quadrants based on 2 things, urgency and importance. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important, crises, deadlines, emergencies. Quadrant 2 is not urgent but important, planning, relationships, personal growth, reflection. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important, interruptions, emails, some meetings. Quadrant 4 is not urgent, not important. Distractions, binge watching, time wasters.
Okay, I already know I live in quadrant 3 and 4 way too often, like endless scrolling, replying to stuff immediately, even when it's not urgent.
You're not alone. Covey says quadrant 2 is where true effectiveness lives, but it's also the one that gets the least attention. Why? Because it's not urgent. There's no alarm, no deadline, but it's where the most meaningful stuff happens.
So things like exercise, reflection, relationship building, even reading this book.
Exactly. It's the quadrant of proactive living, where you invest in your future self. But it requires discipline, because nobody's forcing you to do it.
So putting first things first means prioritizing that quadrant.
Yes, that's the essence of habit 3. It's about scheduling your values, not just filling your calendar. It asks, are you living by design or default?
That's such a shift. Most planners I've used are all about fitting everything in, but not asking if it should even be in there.
Exactly. Covey flips traditional time management on its head. He says the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities.
That quote's going on my wall.
Right? He also talks about the concept of roles and goals, identifying the key roles in your life, like partner, parent, writer, friend, and then setting meaningful goals for each. So instead of just being productive, you're being purposeful.
So if I'm a friend, maybe a quadrant 2 goal is calling someone I haven't spoken to in a while, not because they asked, but because I care?
Exactly. It's about initiating from values, not reacting from pressure. And when you start living from quadrant 2, Covey says, your life becomes more balanced and peaceful, even if you're busy.
So, practically speaking, how do I start shifting into quadrant 2 more?
Great question. Covey recommends doing weekly planning, not just daily. You take time each week to look at your roles, reflect on your long-term goals, and block time for what matters most. He also suggests identifying your big rocks.
Oh yeah, I've heard that metaphor. Is that the one with rocks and sand in a jar?
Yep. Imagine you have a glass jar, some big rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you start with the sand, little things, you won't have room for the rocks, big priorities. But if you put the big rocks in first, the smaller stuff fits around them.
So the rocks are like exercise, personal reflection, family time.
Exactly. Whatever aligns with your mission and values. Those go in first. Then the pebbles and sand, the less important stuff, can fill in the gaps.
I feel like this would solve so much anxiety. Like, I'd still be busy, but I'd know I'm doing the right things.
Totally, and that's why habit 3 is so connected to the first 2 habits. Habit 1 gave you the power to choose, habit 2 gave you a vision, and now habit 3 is about putting that vision into action, on purpose.
I love how they build on each other. This one definitely feels like the one I'll need to practice the most.
Same here. Covey even acknowledges that this is where people struggle, because it's not about knowledge, it's about execution. He calls it the discipline to act on your priorities, even when it's inconvenient.
Okay, so to wrap this up, let's see if I've got it. Putting first things first means choosing important over urgent. Living in quadrant 2. Planning weekly based on my values. Focusing on, quote, big rocks. And aligning my schedule with who I want to become. Did I miss anything?
You nailed it. That's habit 3 in a nutshell. And when you practice it, you start living with clarity.
All right, listeners. Thanks for joining us for this deeper dive into habit 3, put first things first. If you haven't yet, go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2. They really help frame everything we talked about today.
And next up, we'll be shifting into a new category, public victory. Habit 4, Think Win-Win, is all about how we relate to others and how to build relationships based on mutual respect, not competition.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying these conversations. And if you're already listening to this as a weekly habit, congrats! You're living habit 3 already. We'll see you next time for habit 4, Think Win-Win.